remember how it was either yesterday or the video before I said that I had done 2 polls, not multis, 2 individual polls to see if I get lucky to get Leonide because I didn't have them, and I was like, I didn't get them. Well, I found out the secret. The secret is instead of doing 2, you have to do 3. This is what I did. You can see here I did 2 individual polls on the 5th, and then I did 1 on the 6th get together, and I got Leonide on that that 3rd poll. So here I am. Actually able to do a video dedicated to our boy here, Leonide. First most important thing, let's look at a version of a skin that we can't really use. You see it in the banner. I actually like this skin more. Makes him feel cooler. Now, let's actually take a look at his skills and how I've built him. I am using this weapon. Let's just start with the weapons really quick, because this weapon looks like the weapon he has in the picture. Also, what did I just open up by mistake? But before that, I actually think this is pretty good. When he's about to get attacked, his defense increases, and then his next attack deals more damage. It is pretty good. He's like a super single target guy, so you can do like the pendant halberd, but I'm not in love with the idea, and the back attack is terrible on him. He's really bad at back attacks. You could, again, if I had more like skeleton spear stuff, I would probably end up doing that. You get more physical attack, and then you get additional piercing damage, but my skeleton spear game is pretty bad. Never use the doomsday scythe. The halberd, I think so. The HP this is actually probably pretty good on him because he cares about HP and he cares about attack. But I'm using the silent guard because I like it. That's really why. But if for your build, probably use the pendant halberd. Now for the equipment here, I actually think Roaring Flint is really good because if you take a look at this skill here, I don't actually have it. I haven't used the Castalia, but if you pick up this skill here, Radiant Guard, at the start of the battle, increases HP by 15%. This is good. We'll get into his skills in a second here, kind of what I recommend. I took the other one, but the character is immune to the negative effects of injured. Again, this is another good effect. But before attacking, if the character's max HP is greater than the target's current HP, then you knock them back a tile. This does work with something like the Roaring Flint. So this giant AoE will be a giant knockback. And if you knock them off of ledges, that does extra damage, or it just kills them. If you knock them into other enemies, it deals damage. And this is an instant speed ability. Very, very good. You got to be careful because it'll interrupt his charge. But I'm using Roaring Flint, even though I don't have the ability, because this is kind of what I recommend for you guys as you build him. And then I'm actually going with the fully upgraded with the secret rare thing here. HP is, so basically gets 20% HP, and then when initiating an active attack, if the character's HP percentage is higher than the target's, damage dealt is increased by 10%, and if your max HP is greater than the target's, damage dealt is increased by 10%. So he does have an HP sub theme in his set with his attacks, so you do want to have his HP getting pretty high. Now let's actually go over what he does. So his talent, level 1, it is pretty bad, but what's actually good is like each individual star level is not much better. Like it's actually, they're almost identical. This is like at 1 star, he is almost as good as he's at 5 star. It's not like a Coco where the entire kit feels like it changes, but basically before an attack or a charge skill, for each tile you have traversed, his damage increases by 4% and you ignore 6% defense of the target. Now, I've already tried this. This does not work with teleporting. You can't teleport him far away or like here and then teleport him there. He actually has to move the tile and then attack immediately. He doesn't even get to, we'll talk about it. Let's read the rest. After he actively attacks with a skill other than an instant skill, the effect ends and he gains a charge damage reduction. So basically, your damage taken is going to be reduced by 20% for a turn. So he gets to run in, hit really hard, but he can't do this charge every single turn. It enters a cooldown. I don't know if it enters a cooldown later. It always gets the cooldown. That never goes away. So he can't do it every single turn. Or like if you use act again, right, it's still going to be on cooldown. So this trait is not going to be working. So the way this trait works is every tile you move before you attack, it give you more damage and it'll ignore defense. It doesn't give you attack, which is relevant. I think giving you attack would probably be better, but it's still increasing your damage, right? But if it increased your attack, that would be sick. Ignoring the defense is pretty huge though. But the thing is, if you use like an instant skill, if you like move 3 tiles, use an instant skill, and then keep moving more, it starts counting after you use that instant skill. So if I move, let's say I move 6 tiles and I attack somebody, I'm getting 6 stacks of this, right? Let's do 5 because it's easier for the math, right? So I'm getting 20% damage and I'm getting 30% defense ignoring if I move 5 tiles and I attack someone. If I move 3 miles and I use an instant skill, like, I don't know, the item here, and then I move 2, I'm only getting 2 stacks with that attack. It just, if you do anything that, like, you move and then, like, do any action and then move again, it's not like the amount of tiles you move since the start of your turn. It's only the amount of tiles you moved before that specific attack since, like, the last time you stood still. So it's not quite as strong as it could be, but it is still very strong. Being able to ignore a bunch of defense is good. And as you can see, as it gets stronger, right, you go from 4 and 6 all the way up to 8 and 10. But it's like each thing here is like, right, it goes up 2% here, then it goes up 2% here, and then this goes from 20 to 30%, and then this goes up to 2%, and then this goes up 2%. And then he finally does get, like, he gets to ignore block and dodge. This is not that insane, honestly. And the 20 to 30% damage reduction is not that insane. Like, ignoring 10% defense, don't get me wrong, it's a lot better than 6%, but it's only 4% per tile. I mean, it is relevant, but like he's still ignoring a lot of defense at level 1. So when it comes to his basic skill, his normal skill, it is the all-out pike thrust instead of the actual bigger one. You charge at an enemy within a cross shape. So also worth noting, these tiles that he charges, these do not count towards his trait. I was trying all these in combat earlier because I wanted to test them out. These do not count as traversed tiles because this is before an attack or a charge. So let's say there's an enemy 3 tiles away and you stand still, or let's say you stand still, you attack them, you're going to get 0 trait bonus. If you move 1 tile, you're going to get 1 stack. If you move all 3 tiles and then use this, actually charging a distance of 0, you're going to get all 3 stacks. So this is basically a extender of how far you could reach, but you want to move as close to the enemy as you can, not as far away as you can. You actually want to get as close as you can before you use an ability, even if it's closer than you would need to be to normally reach them, because that'll give you more stacks. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, these traverse tiles here, they do not add to your thing because you get the buff before you activate the attack. But you charge at someone, you deal 60% damage. You're like, well, that sucks. That's really bad. But here's the thing, you get 30% of your HP added to your attack. Also, again, the 60% damage, right? I mean, you are getting potentially, maybe if you're getting 6 stacks of this, right? You're getting 24% more damage. I mean, it's not an insane ability, but it is pretty strong. And then again, you get 30% of your HP to your attack, not exceeding 200% of your physical attack. So let's say you get 30% of 7,000. Let's go calculator. Calculators. You get 7,000 times 0.3. You're getting 2,100 bonus attack just when you activate the skill for the effect of the skill. And that's going to make your damage go way up for sure. Not to mention if you have damage bonuses and then you actually just have an attack buff on top of that, like, it will kind of go crazy. It is actually much stronger than it reads. Then you knock them back 2 tiles. I believe they can go up to 3 tiles if you have the other guardian one, and it stuns them for a second if they actually get hit on something. Overall, it's a pretty good ability. I like it. It's pretty easy to use. It does good damage. It gets them into the fight. He's kind of he's a a one-trick pony, a pump and dump, whatever you want to call him. But his main thing is he just gets into the fight, and then he's not that much stronger the next turn. He can attack like normal, but because his trait is on a cooldown and the way his movement works, it could be a little awkward. But let's actually go in and take a look at these skills here now. So level 1, neither of these matter. You could probably just use the alert thing. It's 2 tiles ahead, does 150% AoE. It's reasonable. It's very, like, enemies will sometimes want to walk at him, and when they walk at him, it's actually pretty good. Because it's kind of the same thing with the Guardian Oath here. If you have the reaction, where's the reaction at? This one. We'll get to this in a second, but basically you attack before they attack you. And if you have the Radiant Guard on and you knock them back, you'll actually like knock them out of range of their stuff that they were going to do. So you can actually do some kind of crazy, cool, interesting stuff here. So High Alert's probably better than Light Sanctuary. However, I like giving himself damage too. And I like, honestly, the magic defense is good for a video I'm doing tomorrow with Guzman. But I actually do like the damage too, which is kind of nice, you know? So this one's pick your favorite. I think High Alert is a little more interesting, but are you going to find room on your bar for it? Probably not. But you might not use either of these. So at rank 3, I did take the charge stance. I think these are both equally as important. You're probably going to want to use a Castilla here. I use it out one on rank 7, which I highly don't recommend because I was testing out how the character works, so don't use one there. But charge stance, it's an instant speed ability, increases your movement by 2 tiles. So this is exactly what I was talking about. If you move 3 tiles and then there's an enemy 2 tiles away and you use charge stance to give yourself 2 more movement, your trait is only going to activate for 2 traverse tiles. Whereas if you use the trait and then move all 5 tiles, you're going to get a trait for, your trait's going to activate for 5 activations of it. So you don't want to move, activate this, and then move more. You want to use this right away whenever you can, and then move all the way. So the issue with this, it gives you 2 movement, but you can only move in a straight line. That is, you are a rook. You are moving in straight lines. No, and it's funny because the game doesn't have diagonal movement. You move straight, 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 straight in order to move diagonal, but you can only move in like, you can't move like that, you know? So you have to go basically like you're a rook in chess. But you do get 15% increased attack, which is great. After moving, you get after attacking, you can move again with the remaining movement. Ideally, you have 0 because you want to use it all on your trait to kill something. But if you're close to something, you can attack and then run really far away. The Assault Discharge literally just removes charge stance. It doesn't do anything other than that. I think this is super important to his kit because you basically need it in order to make his abilities do damage. Otherwise, he's just like, he needs the movement. He needs the traverse tiles. You could bring like a Gloria to give him 1 movement, but he only has 3. This brings him up to 5. Gloria brings him up to 6. And so now we're talking. Now we're at 6 movement, getting 6 stacks on that trait. That's pretty good. But enemies have to be in kind of a perfect position, and they have to be like one strong enemy. He's not very good at AoE. He has no AoE. Radiant Guard is another insanely important ability here. Again, I don't have it, but at the start of the fight, he gets 15% HP. This is very strong, right? Again, his HP gets directly converted at a 30% rate to his attack when he's using some of these skills. It also is just, I mean, it's a nice stat to have. So, I mean, it's good. But this will increase his damage when the fight starts. So does this. This gives him 15% attack. This gives him 15% HP, which is a bigger number. But you're only getting 30% of that to your attack. But also, you become immune to injured. And before attacking, if your max HP is greater, then you get to knock targets back by a towel whenever you attack. This is very synergistic because when you do something like Guardian's Oath here, like I was talking about before, when you take as a passive, a reaction, I guess, an ally that gets attacked by a melee attack within 2 tiles, you just jump in front of them. And then you preemptively attack. So not only do they go to attack you, but you basically do the suppression thing, right? You jump in front of them and then you counterattack. But if you have more HP than them, if you have more max HP than their current HP, which is very easy. Your max HP is like 7,000, and their current HP, even if they're at full HP, it's probably not 7,000, but let's assume it's even less. You're going to knock them back. You're going to jump in front of them, punch them, knock them back. And then when you knock them back, suddenly that attack's not even going to happen. Now, the bad thing about this is it has a 3-turn cooldown. That's pretty devastating. It's actually really bad, but it's a pretty darn good defensive ability. It's strong. It doesn't do insane amounts of damage, but it is a pretty good defensive ability, and I like having it as a reaction. Other than that, when injured, damage taken is decreased by 20%. That's just not very good. So its other reaction is kind of bad, just in general. Once you get up to rank 7, do not take Charge Pursuit. So the reason I took this is at instant speed, charges one enemy within a cross-shaped range, dealing 30% damage. My goal was to move as far as I could, charge at a different enemy to get 3 more movement tiles traversed, and then attack someone. It does not work that way. When I use this skill, if I move at someone and then I charge, I'm like, oh, I've charged 3 more tiles. But like once you use this, it resets the trait cooldown. So it counts, you go back to 0. So this doesn't actually work the way you want it to at all, unless I'm just dumb. But I swear It does not work. This ability sucks. It is not good. And it was not worse than Castalia. However, discipline, this is okay. It's a leader's aura, so it's good just in general because it affects himself. And for the skills with a cooldown of 4 turns or more, the cooldown is reduced by a turn. So if you have a cooldown of an ability has a cooldown of 4, it goes down to a cooldown of 3, which means I think it's kind of funny because Guardian's Oath could have had a cooldown of 4. This does have a cooldown of 4, I guess, but it's like that's a long cooldown. That's long, bro. But it will get things like Simona up again probably sooner. Maybe you get Doom Waken up. I don't remember the cooldown on Doom Waken, but maybe it's 3 turns. I don't think this is great. I don't know how this is broken. There might be something that's broken with, but I just honestly don't know. There's going to have to be another thing that reduces cooldowns, and some sort of loop could be good, but it's something worth keeping an eye on. There's not a lot of things that reduce cooldowns of skills, and this is one of those things, but it is on skills that are very, very expensive, which is one of his big drawbacks. But you might want to be using this on him when you're using him. As far as the 2 attacks here, ignoring dodge is not very important. Inflicts no dodge. It's like so if they have dodge, it doesn't work. You have to hit them, and then they can't dodge. Just take the Invigorating Strike. Gives you extra energy. It's actually pretty good. Once you get up to level 11, parry is arguably really good. I like this ability. I really wish it would have been down on the first stage, I think. But before receiving a melee attack, you turn to face them, and then you get 20% of your physical attack to your physical defense. So you just get a bunch of defense, and they always attack you in the front. There's no limitation to this. It doesn't say if they attack you from the front or side. If you ever are going to take any physical melee attack, you just turn to face them. This is very strong. It's not like oppressively strong or anything like that, but it is a pretty darn good just effect for keeping yourself alive. But I mean, you're gonna take Glowing Pike Thrust, his ultimate ability here. But I do think parry could be worth it, but I probably wouldn't invest too much Castalia into this character anyway. You charge at one enemy with an across shape. This is literally the exact same ability, except big boy. The all-out Pike Thrust is not all-out. He actually was holding back. This is his real all-out. It's the same exact ability, almost. It's just a big boy version. There's a little bit of a difference of it. So you charge it at a range of 1 to 3. Boom, boom, boom. And instead of dealing 60% damage, you deal 100% damage. So it's already like 40% more damage. Then you dispel 2 debuffs from yourself. Then you recover HP equal to 100% of your attack. And then instead of 30% of your HP, you're getting 35%. So it does more damage, and you're getting more attack than you would. It's still going to have the same cap, though. So if you actually have a high enough HP, these caps are going to be exactly the same on how much physical attack you're getting. You're going to get no more than 200% of your physical attack. So you're not going to be able to get more than 3,000, right? So you're not going to be able to triple his attacker. The most you're going to be able to do, I think, is double it, which is doable. But this will still be doing more damage. So this is good. Now, this doesn't have the knockback. This doesn't have the stun if you knock them back and hit something. So it's not like ideal in that way, but it costs 1 energy with a 6-turn cooldown. Oh my god, but why? Why not make it 4 and bring it down to 3 and make it like you could use it twice a fight? I mean, this ability is strong. It does a lot of damage. Again, when you're doubling your attack or adding 2-ish thousand, suddenly, like, where's August at? August is at 3,354 power. Now let's not get crazy. August is stronger, okay? But being able to almost double your attack based off your HP, so you're defensive because you have a lot of HP, you're hard to kill, and you're basically being able to double your attack, and you're able to ignore 60 to 100%, probably not 100%, but let's say 60 to yeah, I mean, maybe it might be hard to get more than 6 movement. But so roughly 60% of their defense with, 4,000 or 5,000 attack before any buffs. And you're hitting them for a 100% thing, and you're healing yourself, removing the debuffs. Like, this attack is super strong. This attack is kind of jacked. Especially when you start buffing your own attack after that as well. Like, you just get a lot of juice. But it is such a long cooldown. It really is an issue. So it's like, even though this attack is good, I actually run the all-out Pike Thrust as well, because I think you just kind of need it. Otherwise, he just stands around and does nothing for too long. So I actually I feel like, because like you use this, and even if you have this on, right, and you bring it down from 6 to 5, it's like you still have a slot dedicated to a leader aura, and now you have 5 turns. You're just going like, then what's the point of this extra energy? What are you doing with this energy? You have a different skill here that has cooldown, 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 cooldown. Like, you have nothing that does anything. So you kind of need an all-out pike thrust. But then, so it's like his shit just doesn't quite work together in the way that I think it should. Like, why does he have all this? Why does he have an energy regeneration attack? Is this specifically because they want you to use high alert on your off turns? I guess. Maybe. Why does this have 3 turns of cooldown? Why does this have 6 turns of cooldown? It's like, this character could be so strong if they just let him do things multiple turns in a row. But it's like, he's such a one-trick pony, and then he's done. It's kind of like really sad. But here's the thing. It's all alpha, right? In a PvP setting, I think this character has a lot of potential. And in some PvE stuff, I mean, he comes in, he does the fight. He's probably going to just kill something straight away. But like, you compare this to like an August, where August is like, he attacks, he does his abilities, and he goes again, and then he goes again. Then you act again on him, and he goes again, and he's doing like insane stuff. So this character just kind of flounders around and doesn't quite, like, I'm kind of happy I didn't have to use my selector on him. He's just not bringing enough to the table. Very cool character, very strong, but is like a flash in the pan. It just like, he burns too bright, and then he just, you know, simmers out. Not enough staying power. Although, if you do want to take out the all-out, like, you could, I say you pick one of these, probably use the glowing pike thrust. You probably take this out, and then you put in the alert ability, I would say. That way you have something to do with your energy. And if they walk in front of it, you are still doing AoE damage, right? It's not single target, so they can't like dodge it. And it knocks them back. Like, this is pretty decent against AI that are dumb. So that's probably what you're gonna do. But then, are you gonna get Radiant Guard? Or are you gonna use, like, if you're not using Charge Stance, you're losing 2 movement on a character that scales damage with movement. So I would probably end up doing that. And then maybe on turns where I can't do anything, this energy actually matters. So it's a little bit awkward of a character. You could, I mean, listen, don't get me wrong, you could just take the here, you could use Guidance of the World, which is reduce the cooldowns of all your active skills when not using any active skills, and Standbind. The thing is, it's not good on him. It's really good on Momo, because Momo actually has a passive thing that's attacking every single turn. But it's not very good on him. But you could do it if you're tired of waiting 6 turns. You could still do it every 3 turns, but that's still like too slow. So I'd probably not recommend it. I would just get your HP as high as possible. Have him stand in the middle of stuff. And every 3 turns, take 1 attack. Whoa. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think the character's a bit of a letdown, but I also don't want to underestimate, like, I don't want to undervalue how strong his initial burst can be. He is a breaker for sure. He could really fuck something up. But not for long. That's all. He goes all out. he's that anime character. Master, I have to go all out just this one time. Then he ults, and then he's like, sits down on the bench for 4 turns. All right, buddy. Anyway, that's all for this one, guys. Thank you very much. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. Bye!
Turning on the screen with a laugh aloud. Purplatypus.